So, hello, class 8. Hope you have heard the first part. Now, let's proceed with chapter number 7, A Handful of Clay. In page number 99, I'm reading the last paragraph. So, from there, I'm starting again. So far, we have learned that the path to glory is always hard, and to overcome it, you have a lot of hurdles. You have to overcome the hurdles. you have uh, you have to overcome the hurdles to be great. So here the clay says that he wants to be something which will play a greater part in this world. But the hard journey was nothing compared with the tribulation and distress that came after it. So, after that, the sufferings came to whom? The sufferings came to the clay or the mud. The clay was, what are the sufferings? We will get in the lines. The clay was put into a trough and mixed and then beaten and stirred and trampled. So these are the processes before a pottery, before the clay is made into something. But there was consolation in the thought that something very fine and noble was certainly coming out of all this trouble. So all this trouble that this clay was facing, he will surely come out. He knows that I will surely come out with something that will bring me into a positive shape. So he had a very optimistic thought in his mind. The clay felt sure that if it could only wait long enough, a wonderful reward was in store for it. So, if he could wait, so patience, if he could have the patience one more minute or so, then he will surely become something great in this world. So, then the next page. Then it was put upon a swiftly turning wheel. So it was put into a wheel and whirled around. Whirled means it was round. Okay, whirled around until it seemed as if it must fly into 1,000 pieces. So it was very fast. The procedure was very fast. A strange power pressed it and molded it as it revolved, and through all the dizziness and pain, it felt that it was taking a new form. So, all these processes, all these processes were done on the clay to get it into a new shape. It was put into a swiftly turning wheel. Then it was rotating so fast. The wheel was rotating so fast that it would take the clay into 1,000 pieces. Then a power machine pressed it and molded it. Okay, it was molding. Okay, it was molding and it revolved through all the dizziness and pain. So it was suffering from the dizziness, it was suffering from the pain, and ultimately was taken into a new form. Then an unknown hand put it into an oven, and fires were kindled about it. So it was getting hardened now. Fierce and penetrating, hotter than all the heats of summer that had ever brooded upon the bank of the river. So it was hot. But through all, the clay held itself together and endured its trials. The trials means the experiences that caused difficulty. Okay, these are the trials. In the confidence of a great future, surely it thought, I am intended for something very splendid. Since such pains are taken with me, perhaps I am fashioned for the ornament of a temple or a precious vase for a table of a king. So he knows what he is going to be. He is going to be either an ornament of a temple, means a decoration in a temple, or a precious vase, a flower vase for the table of a king. At last the baking was finished. The clay was taken from the furnace, means where it was burned, and sat down upon a board in the cool air under the blue sky. So it was kept to cool. The tribulation was past, means the suffering was now gone, the reward was at hand. Means the result, what was the reward? The ultimate form of that clay was at hand. It was ready. Close beside the board, there was a pool of water, not very deep, not very clear, but calm enough to reflect with impartial truth everything that fell upon it. So, there was a water side by that under that blue sky. So, it reflect, though the water was dirty, it reflected a dizzy reflection, the reflection that was not clear, and it was, that reflection was very prominent, not very prominent, but understandable to see its own form. Actually, what the clay is telling, the clay is telling us that it can see its reflection on the water. There, for the first time, as it was lifted from the board, the clay saw its new shape, the reward of all its patience and pain, the consummation of its hopes, a common flower pot. So, what was it? A flower pot. Straight and stiff, red and ugly. So, how did it look? Straight, stiff, red, ugly. These are the adjectives that are used. And then it felt that it was not destined for a king's house, nor for a place of art, because it was made without glory or beauty or honor. So it was not decorated properly. It was looking ugly. It was just simple vase, okay, a very common vase, and it was not decorated. So it knew, the vase knew, or the clay knew, that he was not going to the temple, he was not going to the king's place, because it was not decorated with glory, beauty or honor. And it murmured against the unknown maker, saying, why hast thou made me thus? So, why have you made me like this? So it is asking, the clay is asking or murmuring in himself that, why have you made me like this, to the maker who is making the clay. So many days it passed in sullen discontent. Discontent meant dissatisfaction. Content is satisfaction, discontent is dissatisfaction. So sullen means bad tempered. So sullen discontent, that it was filled with earth and something in new, not what, but something rough and brown and dead looking. So what am I now? I used to be a clay playing with the waves. Means people were stamping on me, so I had no problem in playing in the nature. So why have you brought me here to make me like this? So the clay rebelled at this new disgrace. Rebelled means he was angry. He was picking up a rebellion. Okay, revenge. This is the worst of all that has happened to me, to be filled with dirt and rubbish. Surely I am a failure. So he's telling that he's a failure now. So it was not supposed to be like this. I thought something new was going to be made out of me. But what am I? Look at me. I look so ugly, reddish. Okay, I'm just a simple common flower pot. I'm not a vase in the king's table, or not a decoration in the temple. So I am a failure. But presently it was set in a greenhouse where the sunlight fell warm upon it and water was sprinkled over it. And day by day, as it waited, a change began to come to it. Something was stirring within it, a new hope. Still it was ignorant and knew not what the new hope meant. So, where the pot was kept, it was kept in a greenhouse. You must have studied in your geography what is a greenhouse. So it was kept in a greenhouse, all greenish. The sunlight was coming and water was sprinkled. Matlab chitana. So water was sprinkled over it, and day by day as it waited, so the pot waited, the flower pot waited, it seemed to him that new hope is, something is changing. I'm getting hardened up, something is changing. So what was the change? He was not known about it. So he was ignorant. He was completely ignoring the fact what am I changing into. He was not knowing it. One day the clay was lifted again from its place and carried into a great church. So where was it taken at the last? A great church. Its dream was coming true after all. It had a fine part to play in the world. Glorious music flowed over it. It was surrounded with flowers. Still, it could not understand. So it whispered to another vessel of clay, like itself close beside it. Why have they set? Why have they set me here? Why do all the people look towards us? And the other vessel answered, don't you know? Do you not know? You are carrying a royal scepter of lilies. Scepter means a single stem with multiple flowers on it. So why people are looking at that flower pot, who thinks that I'm very common, I have nothing extravagant, I am nothing, I'm not so glorious. So why people are looking at me? Because the other vessel says that you are carrying a scepter of lilies. So it was carrying lilies. Their petals are white as snow, and the heart of them is like pure gold. The people look this way because the flower is the most wonderful in the world, and the root of it is in your heart. So where is the stem? It is inside the pot. So inside its heart. Then the clay was content and silently thanked its maker, because though an earthen vessel, it held so great treasure. So it held so great a treasure. So everybody is looking at whom? Everybody is looking at that pot. Who thought once that I am ugly and I should be in the church, I should be in the temple, I should be in the king's place. So nobody is looking at me now. I look ugly. So ultimately what happened? The fate, the destiny. So no matter what you think now, your destiny can change someday. Okay? So you have to work hard every possible steps of your life. Okay? The step of your life that you take, you have to work hard. The more you work hard, you don't know what the future will be for you. You never know that. So this is the story that Henry Van Dyke has presented to us, and I am very satisfied with this chapter. I hope you will also get that amount of satisfaction understanding how important is life. Okay, and you should not be disgraceful to your life that I cannot do this, I cannot do that. How will I come to be like this? How will I achieve my aim at the point of life? So you need to be focused. You need not listen to any other people who are taunting you, who are criticizing you. No need to listen to them. You have to understand yourself and be optimistic in your life. You never know, a good change might come or it will come to your life. So by this I come to this end of the chapter. So Henry Van Dyke, as I already told you, that American author, educator and clergyman. He was a priest, graduated from Princeton University and later taught there. Before that he joined the church at the age of 27. Remember this, at the age of 27 he joined the church. He began to write at the same time. His first article was published in Harper's Monthly magazine. His early works were The Story of the Other Wise Men, The First Christmas Tree. He also taught at the University of Paris and fought in World War I, means the First World War. His best known collections are The Ruling Passion, The Blue Flower, The Unknown Quantity, and The Golden Key. So I will mark the meanings when I give you the question answers, okay, and I will give you the reference to the context and everything that you usually get. So don't worry about that. Read thoroughly through the chapter line by line so that you will be able to understand, and go back, rewind the video, listen it from part 1, then come to the part 2. We will be able to understand the chapter how a clay's life is, what the clay thinks, and how the clay changes, how the future of the clay changes ultimately, what he thought and what he become, and how satisfied he was. This is the ultimate thing or the theme you are getting in this story. So hope you have liked it. Have a great day. Bye bye.